Outages. Number 5, a solar power generator provides powerful backup insurance and peace of mind. Folks, I really believe in the solar power generators offered by Solutions from Science, one of my oldest sponsors. You can get more information at www.mysolarbackup.com. That's mysolarbackup.com. Remember, the government doesn't own the sun, so go to mysolarbackup.com or call 1-877-327-0365.
I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that place. Even your emotions have an echo.
I remember when I gained my mind, when I gained awareness, and I studied history. And when I broke my conditioning and stopped being intimidated by the globalists who want to break our will and turn us into subservient, groveling slaves. Coming up after Lindsey Williams leaves us in the next hour, Wayne Madsen, who's getting threats via the globalist mafia to stop investigating Chicago mob ties in Obama. He may leave the country. Wayne Madsen is joining us coming up in the last 30 minutes. Before he joins us, we now have this bombshell article. And I never asked Drudge to really link to our stuff. He links all the time, and it's the biggest media site out there, and it's so great how he can set the agenda. But just watching this ABC News video from this morning, when the family of this little 6-year-old that got groped was interviewed, this doctor and his wife, they put him through the scanners. We're going back to Lindsey in a moment. Then they start the groping. And now we know what happened when they took the girl away and said now the drug testing. She broke down and began crying and was basically begging and pleading. I mean, this is what America is. Little 6-year-olds with men and women in uniforms putting their hands down their pants. And what comes next? So we've got the headline, parents threatened by TSA before 6-year-old was groped. And then, Marley, let's add a comma. Girl then broke down in tears. Girl then broke down in tears. Or perhaps give the father's exact quote. Initially, she was just confused. See, I'm concerned about the oil and the New World Order, but at the same time, this is the New World Order. This is the rubber meeting the road. Her father, the doctor, said initially she was confused. Todd Drexel said afterwards she broke down crying because she really didn't understand what she'd done wrong. I did ask for alternatives. I asked for her to be rescanned. They just refused and said they were going to do what they were going to do. And of course, I've had district attorneys on the air saying this is illegal. A cop can't do this. Selena Drexel said, adding the TSA supervisor made it clear in a nonverbal way that there would be trouble if the parents caused a fuss. That means bowing up to him. And refused to allow the pat-down to be completed. So very threatening body language, very threatening attitude, little girl crying. This is what these psychic vampires need, is feeding on small children. It's their favorite. And we give our children over to their Molech system. We put them through the fire of the TSA. We sacrifice their innocence so that they can be trained to be good little slaves. Lindsey, I want to go to phone calls, but it's just seeing this unfold, seeing this happen is just very hard for me to deal with.
Alex, for 12 years, I was a pastor of Grace Baptist Church in Hollywood, Florida, prior to going to Alaska as a missionary for 12 years. I can feel right now while you're talking the emotion of what these parents must have gone through. This is a shame. It's a disgrace that America would ever come to this.
And it goes on thousands of times a day.
This is the New World Order. They must bring us under total mental, physical, psychological control. It's all a part of what the New World Order does. Mr. Fromm told me this back 3 years ago when he talked about the Devil's Messiah. I've got to one of these days produce a DVD series on this. The Devil's Messiah. How about the method that they've used to bring America under the New World Order, and it all went under what he called the Devil's Messiah, Alex.
And that's a system of taking over society to destroy our morals and to get us to totally accept tyranny.
He said to me, he said, Chaplain, we had to, folks, are you getting this? Please. He said to me, he said, Chaplain, we had to remove the God of America that made it great before we could bring in the New World Order. I mean, this is, this is exactly what you're seeing there in that airport. They've had to remove the decency of the Bible. They've had to remove the honesty and the righteousness of the Scriptures.
To get in our space, to take a doctor and his wife and his little innocent children and teach them that they're bad, to teach them that they're criminals, to teach them the government can put their hands in your pants, not just search you at Nazi checkpoints whenever they want. Federally funded checkpoints all over America. It's happening.
This is a part of the New World Order, and Alex, I've come to the conclusion in the last few days that the only way in this world we're ever going to overcome this is to expose the elite, call them what they are. You've been doing it for a long time. Keep it up, intensify it. We must expose everything that the elite are doing and call it as it is.
We must. Let's go to phone calls. I'm going to keep you 5 minutes to the next hour if you can, Lindsey, for any other tidbits of new intel you got. But that's just huge about the other countries they're planning to overthrow. Did he tell you anything else about how they're going to try to overthrow Saudi Arabia? I tell you, since you started talking about this, the Saudis have run to the Russians and the Chinese for help, saying that they feel like they're being double-crossed. Boy, I tell you, this is getting scary.
Just after the outbreak in Egypt, and as you remember, they told me 5 months before it happened it was going to happen. When it broke out, I waited a week. I went back to my source. I said, where is it going from here? He named all the countries it was going to, and Yemen, I just got this past week, is going to be the next one. The last country that the king will be deposed is Saudi Arabia. They had better be scared. They'd better be running to the Russians and everybody they can. They ought to be scuttled. It's only a matter of time, and it's all a part of being able to take the price of crude oil to $200 a barrel, break the back of the dollar, bring in a default of the American currency. They're going to lose what they've got in T-bills and securities, and every bit of this is a part, and I was just given the chart showing the intended progression of the Muslim Brotherhood, and we included it in our Middle East, the rest of the story. Folks, you've got to see.
Go through the order, Lindsey, and then we're going to calls. Go through the order. So it's Yemen next. Then are they planning to overthrow Jordan as well?
Possibly. But you've got Yemen, you've got Bahrain, you've got Syria, and you're going to come down to Saudi Arabia, which will be last. Are you hearing this? Whenever you see the king of Saudi Arabia being, when you see the riots begin in Saudi Arabia to the point that the royal family is deposed, you know that you've only got a short time until the dollar is done for.
This is unbelievable. Let's go to phone calls. Tony in Florida. Tony, you're on the air with Pastor Lindsey Williams.
Thank y'all very much. Pastor, I believe you are a prophet because the testimony of Jesus Christ is truth and prophecy. And I say that because in 2001, I classified myself as a conscientious objective of the war, and I was discharged accordingly right after the Afghanistan bombing. But even that, my wife has not woken up until she heard your message. And since she heard your message and has seen this going on, she has woken up. So that has told me that you're true. So I want to thank you for what you're doing, and Alex, thank you, of course. And my question is, sir, do you have any information about what's going on? Could this be the inroad into Jerusalem? And do you have any information about Israel and the state of Israel?
Yes, positively. And this is the one that frightens me. I don't even like to talk about it. I'd much prefer bypass it. We were able to secure a DVD soundbite of what they were chanting when Egypt had its problem, and they were chanting the words, "To Jerusalem we go, martyrs by the millions." I went on to elaborate on that some in our Middle East, the rest of the story.
So the globalists are basically hyping up, putting the extremists in so they can put the Middle East into flames, order out of chaos. Tony, I appreciate your call. Interesting points. Nick in California. Nick, you're on the air.
Hey, guys. Thank you for taking my call. I just wanted to know, is there anything in the globalist playbook that could drop gas prices down to about 80 cents like it was after 9/11?
Not until after the New World Order is completed. You're not looking at that until years down the line. I tried to, I think on the last program with Alex Jones, I said that They want to do what they're doing. Someone said to me, they said, why would the elite destroy their own country? I said, they aren't destroying their own country. They're merely bringing it under control. They have to bankrupt everything first, then they bring it back out of the condition it's in. It'll probably take them years to do it. At that point, they'll probably bring gasoline prices back down, but you've got a long time before you're going to see that.
Does that answer your question, sir?
Yes, it does. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Lindsey.
Thank you. Appreciate the call. Nick, let's talk to Tim in Michigan. Tim, you're on the air.
Hello?
Yes, sir. You don't want to be on air, Tim?
No, I do. Hey, Alex, how you doing?
Good, go ahead.
Yeah, yesterday I waited for an hour and a half, man, and I didn't even get on to talk to you. First of all, something that Lindsey's pointed out about dollar devaluation. Well, when I started buying silver, in fact, one of your sponsors, Midas, I was paying $19.25 for an ounce. And today I just checked that same bullion now is at $40.27. But what people don't understand, that I finally understand, it's not that the price of gold or silver is going up in value. It's that it takes more dollars to buy that because the dollar isn't worth what it was. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. Now, getting back to the things about what Lindsey was talking about, I wrote down what will be affected. And first thing, of course, is our budgets in general. People will only drive when they absolutely have to because they won't be able to afford it. Retail sales are going to increase by who knows how much. I have no prediction on how much.
You mean retail sales prices?
Right. Shipping costs are going to go up. Leisure activity is going to be affected. Even going to the show or going to the beach, people will stay home and barbecue in their backyard. Food prices are obviously going to soar because of higher shipping costs. Another thing, vacations and travel. People just aren't going to be able to afford it. America, by invading all these foreign countries, a lot of them oil-rich, i.e. Iraq and others, have gained control, more or less, of their resources. So now, and I know that America, I've read it in several different places, has giant stockpiles of oil. Now when they get the price where they want it, they're going to pull out and start interjecting their stockpiles and make a killing on the stuff that
sure.
They have
Great
aside.
points, Tim, the strategic stockpile. That's on record. Do you have any questions for Lindsey Williams?
Yeah, well, what I'm basically asking him is if he agrees. And this, too. Yesterday, Obama has okayed American oil companies in a speech giving them all permission and issued tons of new drilling permits.
No, I hear you.
And that's kind of funny that happened at this. All
right, Tim, we got to move on to get to other people. Lindsey, comments on what Tim just said.
Top 10 currencies of the world. Take them and average them with the American dollar. As of yesterday, the American dollar was 74.80 cents. 74 cents, basically, against the other currencies of the world. Today, Canada's currency is worth more than ours is. There is a solution. People, please listen to me. You have never seen gold and silver prices going to where they're going. I do not sell gold and silver. Alex can tell you where to get it. This is the only way you're going to protect yourself. If you had bought that gold when Mr. Fromm told me 2.5 years ago that it was the only thing that I could spare my assets with, if you had bought it, you could have bought it for $700 to $800 an ounce. Today you're going to pay $1,400. You would have not lost one penny of your assets if you had taken Mr. Fromm's advice back 2.5 years ago. You've got to do it now because it's going to $3,000. Alex, I'll stop. We got more callers.
George in Connecticut, you're on the air.
Thank you for whatever you're doing here. I have 3 quick points. Why can't we? I want to make sure we protect you and Alex and also this reporter. we should have Google bombs on this whenever they threaten you guys, so that they can go after, so that basically it becomes untouchable. They can't touch it because it's going to become a political issue. Next thing, why can't we make committees and go after these guys for racketeering? They basically have telegraphed this stuff. This is criminal activities, manipulating the markets and things like that. We should get prominent people to start committees and go after these people and confiscate everything they own, the contracts and everything, then farm them back out to people who will do it for a percentage. It would reduce the deficit, and also they could use that for a tax money. Then arrest Soros. I mean, he's in Katona, New York, trying to destroy this country. I mean, they went after Jesse Jackson for trying to help a prisoner out from a foreign country. But this guy, he's destroying our currency and our country, and they don't go after him. What's going on?
Everything you said is true. And let me very emphatically state the last person in America that's going to be touched is Alex Jones.